Welcome to Oklahoma Music Legends. I'm your host, Tommy Henshaw. On a previous episode, we featured a quartet of rock star drummers from Tulsa. Correction, the quartet should have been a quintet of rock star drummers. Enter Tulsa drummer extraordinaire, Jimmy Karstein. Hey, stand by for his story. Tulsa rock star drummer Jimmy Karstein said in an interview he originally wanted to play the trumpet, but his mother said no, absolutely not, after the fortune the family had invested into his braces. He then decided he liked the piano, but the family home wasn't large enough for one, so he settled on the accordion. In that same interview, he said he could remember exactly when the drums became his pursuit. He was in 8th grade at his junior high school, Horace Mann, in Tulsa, when he attended a school assembly where a band was about to perform. He saw among the instruments the drum set with all its parts. When he heard the drummer, he knew the drums were for him. Jimmy got together with some friends and decided to start a band. On the first attempt, they weren't successful, but on the second try, they added some guitar players and they began playing some country and rockabilly blues. He hooked up with guitarist Tom Rush and met a singer, Jimmy Markham, and they became a popular band playing in school dances and around the area, and they called themselves the Swinging Shadows. Later he joined up with Carl Radle, Tom Rush, backing up David Gates' band called the Accents. Upon graduation in 1961, he packed up his belongings, joined David Gates for the long drive out to Los Angeles. Upon arrival in L.A., Karstein and Gates slept in the living room of Tulsa Jack Dunham. About a week later, the duo found a $45 a month apartment about 2 miles from where Leon Russell and Chuck Blackwell were sharing a place in a trailer court. Later, Gates returned home for the birth of his child. Jimmy moved in and started sharing a place with Tulsa electric bass player Ralph Brummett in Long Beach. Jimmy returned home for the Christmas holidays, but on his return to California, he found the gig he had in Torrance, playing with Tulsan's Bill Pear and Johnny Williams, was ending. Jimmy learned that the local ABC alcohol agents had spotted him earlier and were waiting for his return because he was too young to work in the club. Dejected, Jimmy returned home to Tulsa and began to work in his grandfather's growing grocery business. It appeared Jimmy was out of the music business and moving toward the family business, until a phone call from Leon Russell changed his direction again toward music. Leon asked Jimmy to come back to California and join him in some gigs he was doing. Jimmy packed up and headed back to California, never looking back to the family's grocery business. Leon and Jimmy joined Jimmy O'Neill as the house band at Pandora's Box, backing such performers as Jan and Dean, Bobby Rydell, Jackie DeShannon, and others. In 1964, Leon left the group for new opportunities. Jimmy returned to Tulsa, where he would base himself for a while and spend his time traveling between gigs in Los Angeles and Tulsa. In California, Jimmy worked with the Everly Brothers' Taj Mahal, later joining up with Tulsa guitarist Jesse Ed Davis when Jesse decided to go solo. Later, Jimmy toured with Joe Cocker and began his long association with J.J. Cale. Jimmy said in a 1973 interview that Tulsa was a great place for music. Leon had moved his Shelter Records operation to his home and his new church studios. Jimmy said with the new music venues opening up in Tulsa like Magician's Theater and the Nine of Cups, besides the many established music Tulsa venues, Tulsa was indeed a great place for music. Over Jimmy Karstein's career, he would work with many of music's greats. Of note, Leon Russell, Joe Cocker, the Tractors, Stephen Stills, the Red Dirt Rangers, and with Eric Clapton, with whom he worked extensively. But the performer with whom he is most associated with is J.J. Cale. Jimmy performed with J.J. Cale throughout Cale's recording career. Jimmy said if J.J. decided to tour, he'd fly and I'd drive. Jimmy was part of Cale's A-team of musicians, providing the beats on over 30 of J.J. Cale's albums. Jimmy Karstein is one of the 5 Tulsa drummers who are recognized for their contributions to rock music. Special thanks to both Oklahoma Guide to 45 RPM Records and Bands and to Oklahoma Music Guide for their in-depth information. You've been listening to Oklahoma Music Legends. Tell your friends they can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Buzzsprout, Stitcher, and on Google Music Play. Also on our website, oklahomamusiclegends.com. Click on the podcast page link and you can choose from any of our podcasts. Like our Oklahoma Music Legends Facebook page to stay up to date. For Oklahoma Music Legends, I'm Tommy Henshaw. Thanks for listening.